snooker loopy nuts are we, me and him and them and me. We'll show you what we can do with a load of balls and a snooker cue. Pot the red, then screw back for the yellow, green, brown, blue, pink and black. Snooker loopy nuts are we, we're all snooker loopy. Bum 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 bum.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone at home. Good evening, HAZEL. If you're listening, welcome to the Snooker Loopy podcast. My name is Tom Mayhew, and I'm joined by Joe, the laughing hyena, Hannard.
Good evening, HAZEL. Good evening, everybody at home. Welcome, one and all, to this tense podcast on day 10 of the Crucible. And obviously, last day of the second round. We're going into the quarterfinals from tomorrow onwards. Obviously, when we're recording this, we don't have all 8 players, and it's looking like the 2 matches that are going on are going to go pretty much to the wire. But we can have a good idea of who's going to be playing, and obviously giving our thoughts going forward in the tournament. But yeah, it's good to be back, Tom. Good to be back, and great to see how many people are getting involved at home. You know, just tweeting, getting involved in the comments section. It's just fabulous, isn't it?
The laughing hyena nickname that came from Paul79 on YouTube. That was his commented suggestion on our episode a few days back when we were talking about On Fire Hannard, and he came back with Joe, the laughing hyena Hannard. So it's got nice alliteration there. So thanks, Paul79, for that. We appreciate it. And it's been a crazy day of snooker, really. It feels like it's all starting to get going when we're getting to most the big names are either getting through or players are really putting down, a claim for having a good shot at the championships. I mean, it's been dreadful for our Crucible predictions. To be fair, it has been a tournament that's been very hard to predict. Apart from Ronnie and Judd, I don't think there's many people who have really sailed through comfortably like they thought they would.
Yeah, it's... I think it's the same every year, isn't it? You get some real shocks, but then you get some players that just sort of go under the radar a little bit. And I know, Ronnie and Judd aren't necessarily under the radar players, but they're just going about their business and not being put under a lot of pressure. So it's it's opening up for them, I guess, the rest of the tournament. But you've still got Mark Allen, as we record this, on the top half of the draw. It may well be that John Higgins knocks him out, but whichever one of them go through, you would say is favourite to get to the final on that side. So yeah, really exciting. But Kyron Wilson, I mean, he is somebody that's playing really well as well, isn't he?
He's playing fantastically, Joe, especially for a man who said that this morning he was haunted by the sight of Bingham in his swim shorts in a jacuzzi, which any man who can come back from that and play well, they're doing good, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all I can imagine is that Bingham was doing a promotion for his hot tubs. And Kyron was just caught in the middle of that, really, and he went, "Oi, Steve, Kyron, do you want to go in the old hot tub?" And he did, and Kyron was just awkwardly stood there going, "Not really, Stuart, but if you insist." And he went, "I do insist." Get in here.
How could you turn that down? If Bingham was insisting and he fluttered those lovely eyes at you, you wouldn't be able to say no, would you? You'd have to go, "All right, ball run. You've got a lucky run of your own luck today. I'm getting in the hot tub. Let's have a bit of a paddle." Because we kind of made it as like a running joke that he had a hot tub company after he was sponsored by Hot Tubs of London. But to be honest, now when Kyron's saying he saw him in his swim shorts, I'm like, maybe that could be the next business, the business adventure for Stuart Bingham. He might actually be starting this up.
Yeah, and it's as if all the prophecies that we've foreseen are coming true, Tom. So perhaps at the next tournament, Dominic Dale's going to be introduced as the space sausage. Who knows?
I do hope so, mate. That is what we can hope for it, at least. That's the least we can do is hope for it. But it was a very quick 2 matches that ended earlier.
Yeah.
It actually led to the Crucible going over and them having to put on an exhibition between Ken and Dennis for the fans who'd come because it was over so quick. Ronnie made light work of Ryan Day in the third session of their match. Kyron comfortably through against Joe O'Connor, so the only debutant has gone out. And neither of those results were surprising, really. I think both of them, it felt like they could have been a bit closer, but really maybe the unfancied player felt a bit of nerves and just didn't bring their A game, which you have to do at the Crucible.
Yeah, I think Kyron played well enough for his score. I think Ronnie was incredibly lucky, actually. When you break it down, he didn't play that well against Ryan Day. The first 2 frames, he played absolutely awesome. Some of the best I've seen Ronnie play for a long time. But then, just very bitty. But I think a lot of that was to do with Ryan Day missing a lot. And it sort of drags the level of the match down. I don't think it was a great match. And Ronnie did enough in the end to get through very, very comfortably. But Ryan Day lost a lot more frames than Ronnie won, if that makes sense, I think. And it could have been a lot closer. It could have been a shock. Would it have switched Ronnie on had Ryan been a bit better? Perhaps. We'll never know. But it certainly sets up a mouth-watering prospect against Jack Lazowski or Stu Bingham. At the time recording, it's looking like that's going to be Stu Bingham. And I think Bingham's actually a very dangerous opponent for Ronnie because I don't think Bingham will be scared of playing Ronnie. Whereas maybe Jack Lazowski, if he got to 12 against Ronnie, do you fancy him to close out the job? Whereas I would say you would fancy Bingham to do it.
Well, Bingham famously beat Ronnie in the quarterfinals in 2015 when he went on to win the world title.
Yeah.
So he's done it before
Yeah.
at this stage of the Crucible, when obviously in 2015 Bingham was not fancied to beat Ronnie. So he's been there, he's done that. He's not going to be, as you say, worried or overawed. Whereas Jack, every time he comes up against a bigger or better player at a Triple Crown, he just crumbles a bit. He just seems to struggle that bit more than he would do if he was playing a Ryan Day or, maybe even someone like Kyron Wilson. He wouldn't be as awed as he is by those multiple ranking winners who seem to really get in his head. And every time he plays Judd, you may as well just give Judd the trophy in the morning because he just Jack doesn't turn up.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. So, but I think it'll be a good match either way. I think by the quarterfinal, I think Ronnie will be a little bit wary of what happened last year with Luca when he was 10-6 up and really should have got through. And lost 7 on the spin. I don't think Ronnie will let that happen this year. I think there's a bit more of a determination to win about Ronnie this season. And I don't, even though he's won 5 tournaments and got to another final, I don't think Ronnie's been anywhere near his ultimate best this season. But he has just found a way to win every single time. And I honestly can't see over the length of matches. I can't see people getting past him in this tournament with who's left other than maybe Judd Trump. I can't see it happening, and Judd would have to play his absolute A game, which I don't think I've seen from him yet. So yeah, it'll be interesting, and perhaps I'll be wrong, but I fancy Ronnie to go all the way now, I think.
Yeah, there are very few people who'd bet against that, to be honest. But then it's been such a strange tournament, really, because a lot of our predictions before the tournament and a lot of the way most people predict a tournament like the World Championship is you look at how good a player has been over the season and try and use that to gauge how well they should do. But I was looking yesterday, and on the one-year rankings of the season list, only 5 of the top 16 players for the year actually made the last 16 of the Crucible. And because a few of them are playing each other, like Allen against Higgins and stuff like that, I believe there'll only be 3 of the top 16 players in the final 8 on the season list. It'll be Ronnie, it'll be Higgins or Allen, and it'll be Trump. And that's it in terms of form players. Every other player, top 16 on the 1-year list. The Zhang Anders, the Mark Williams, all those players who had great seasons, gone first round. So it's just thrown, apart from Trump and Ronnie, it's kind of thrown form out of the window, more or less, this tournament.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you've just got to look at Bingham, Lazowski, Maguire, players that have just not featured at all this season, and they've popped out of nowhere. I tell you who will be sat at home, absolutely gutted, I think, will be Neil Robertson, because what an opportunity he would have had he got to the tournament and been part of those qualifiers with no pressure against the seed. Who knows who he would have been drawn against, but I think he'll have felt like this is an opportunity missed, I think, this tournament. But
well, I imagine most players of Neil's quality probably think every Crucible they miss is an opportunity missed, because they'll believe in their hearts and their heads they should be there. So, I reckon any time, like when Maguire wasn't there last year, he probably thought, if I was there, I could have pulled up some trees and done something amazing. So
yeah.
I think he'd think that, but I think,
no, very true.
Especially though this year. I mean, the Crucible really is. We've said it before, but you can have a rubbish season, but then have an amazing run at the Crucible, and suddenly everyone goes, "God, you had a great season." Completely changes it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and people might not remember who wins the UK Championship or the Masters or the Tour Championship season on season, but they'll for sure remember who wins the World Championship in 2024, and that's what I think you've got to what puts so much pressure on it and so much expectation. You wait all year for it, and it could be over in the first round, and ultimately only one player will be there at the end holding the trophy, so that there's going to be 31 or arguably 143 players that are very, very disappointed with their end of the season because they didn't win it. But it is all coming to a head, and of course the quarterfinals are all over within 2 days. It's always bizarre, isn't it, how the quarterfinals are over in the click of a fingers, and then you've got a 3-day semi-final round. And I think we talk about this every year, and how that's weird, but it's part of the charm of the Crucible. The quarterfinal is the shortest round of them all, other than the final. So it's quite a funny one.
It is strange because someone said to me earlier, they were like, "Oh, it's all over in a week," and I was like, "No, it can't be. That can't be right. It can't be a week. It feels like it should go on forever."
When we've still got,
I can't believe how
we're still playing second rounds.
Yeah, it's mad. It can't be. No, it must have another 2 weeks. It doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, over very, very quickly. So many players have already dropped out. Half the people go, and then another half will go, and just suddenly 8 left. And I always think whenever you get to the quarterfinal, that's when you think that player can win it. Anyone who gets to the quarterfinal, even an unfancied person like a Jack Jones or a Sejawi last year. I think if you're in the last 8, you've got a shot, right? I think as long as you get to that stage and can compose yourself in that round, then there's nothing to say you can't go on and win it, frankly.
End of that session, whether he can regain focus remains to be seen. He's capable of winning it. It's obviously a very open game.
Karen, will you be watching the final session of Mark Allen and John Higgins tonight?
No, just going back on the Stuart Bingham-Jack Lazowski game, something I can't get out of my head is seeing Stuart Bingham in his swim shorts in the sauna this morning.
That's a worrying thought.
I think we need to get off the air quickly.
Yeah. OK, who's going to win that?
I think Mark Allen.
Mark Allen? You've got to... Yeah?
Hopefully 13-12 either way, finishes at 1 a.m.
OK, and your prediction on that?
Balls in pockets.
I don't
know. I got no idea.
Dodged another question.
I got no idea.
OK.
Stephen Lee discusses his Dismissal from the tour.
Every so often, someone on Reddit will be like, "Do you think he's going to come back after his ban?"
Probably not.
There's some snooker fans out there who are definitely counting down the days till his ban is over to see if he comes back.
And well, yeah, I do think he'd probably still get in the 64 if I'm honest. So
Really?
mm,
Well, I mean, I'll be interested to see because his son, I believe, is called Alfie Lee, and he's 19, and he's trying to qualify for the tour. He was in Q School last year.
yeah, we could have the less fashionable Lines father and son as the Lee father and son. the rougher around the edges
I mean, it must be
couple.
fascinating to play your son in a professional game.
Yeah, I think it's only happened once though, hasn't
I
it?
think maybe once on the tour and then once on Q School or something like that.
Oh, right.
Have there ever been brothers on tour at the same time?
Joe and Fred?
Yes, of course. Oh, there we go. Was that the last time?
Well, put it this way, I can't think of any others. Unless you're going to go for Alex and John Higgins, of course.
Yeah, brother.
Or Mark and Steve Davis.
Yeah.
Who else we got? We got Ronnie and Sean O'Sullivan.
Jimmy and Michael White.
Yeah.
I mean, they'd be father and son. They can't be brothers.
Oh, Mark and Robbie Williams.
Yeah?
Oh, this is a good game. Come on, there's got to be another one, hasn't there? There's people screaming out at home, listening, or on the train, you know, wherever you listen to this, screaming it out, and people are looking at them weirdly as they're going, Stuart and Robbie Bingham.
There's got to be more.
I don't know if I can think of any more.
I mean, there's got to be a different king. Mark King and someone else King. There's bound to be.
Gilbert. Lazowski, of course.
Yeah, a common surname. Hundreds of them on the tour.
I'm going to have a quick scroll down the old rankings list. Oh, Wilson, Kyron and Gary Wilson.
When they didn't they play in like the World Championships or something?
I think so, yeah. Oh, yeah, of course, Jamie and Jack Jones.
Well, wasn't there a Cliff Wilson as well in the 80s?
Yeah, there was.
Their whole family is.
He's their dad.
They're a snooker dynasty.
Yeah. Dwayne Jones as well. Goodness me. That's 3 Joneses.
What, on tour?
Yeah. Jack, Jamie, and Dwayne.
Is Liam Jones on tour yet?
Don't think so. Don't think so. No, I think that's it. Oh, of course, you've got Dechawat Poomjang and Rebecca Poomjang.
Is that just Dechawat and he's got a wig on?
Yeah, that's his nighttime attire.
He wanted to qualify for the tour twice, so he did like a Mrs. Doubtfire thing where he changed his costume and he's played on 2 different tables.
The problem will come when they play each other in the World Championship final. But you can't lie, you want to see that.
I mean, I do. I would watch that for hours.
Yeah. Yes, this podcast has descended into madness now.
It always does, I think.
You're going to have fun editing this, I think.
Yeah, but I think as long as there's some stupid stuff in there, you know, it's fine. Yeah. What other podcast do you get? Do you get the surname game where we try and think of snooker players with the same surname?
Something I can't get out of my head is seeing
Stuart Bingham in his swim shorts in the sauna this morning.
I don't really want to watch it. I know obviously you guys are doing a nice piece on it, ready for this year's World Championships, so good luck with it. I won't be watching, but yeah, I hope everyone enjoys it.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Snooker Loopy podcast. We'll be back tomorrow with another daily episode. But until then, if you could go to the new Snooker Loopy podcast YouTube page and subscribe, we really would appreciate it. This podcast will be staying on Spotify and Acast and Apple Podcasts, so you don't have to worry if you're on them. But if you could subscribe to the YouTube channel anyway, it would really help in us getting the word about the podcast out there, because in the future we'd love to do stuff like video interviews with, well, some of the weird characters we've talked about, from, the wonderful Dennis Taylor and Stuart Bingham, and even people like, Rodney Goggins or random players like that. We'd love to chat to these people. So the more people we have behind us on the official Snooker Loopy podcast YouTube channel, the better chance we have of them going, hey, let's, take a chance on these guys. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. We hope you're enjoying these daily episodes, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Oh, it's the quarterfinals. I can't wait.